Applause, it needs silence, time, and internal space to bloom. Solitude not only stimulates thought, it frees it. Without an audience, there's no fear of mistakes. Without distractions, there's room to connect with what's essential. Thinking alone is thinking with more courage, more depth, more truth. That's why anyone who wants to create something lasting needs, first, to learn how to be alone. 4. Solitude facilitates the confrontation of inner conflicts. Being alone is not just relief from the external world but a gateway to our inner world, and what we find there isn't always pretty. In solitude, old wounds reappear, forgotten traumas resurface, and unresolved emotions emerge. But contrary to what many think, this is not a sign of weakness. It is the beginning of true healing. When we're surrounded by people, it's easy to escape ourselves. We fill our time with distractions, avoid silence, and flee from pain. Solitude removes these escapes. It forces us to face everything we've been avoiding. Fears, anger, insecurities, they hit hard. But it's only by confronting these shadows that we can transform them. There is no greatness without internal confrontation. The conflicts that arise in solitude are not obstacles, they're gateways. Every emotion faced is a layer of weight lifted from the body. Every pain processed makes us more whole, more mature, more human. True balance is not found by running from inner chaos, but by learning to live in it with courage. 5. Solitude promotes mental and spiritual healing. In a fast-paced world where everything demands an immediate response, stopping and simply being with oneself feels almost radical. But it is in that silence that many find the peace they seek in therapy, distractions, or medication. When well lived, solitude becomes a natural remedy for an overwhelmed mind and a fragmented spirit. Japanese physician Shoma Morita understood this deeply. His therapeutic approach used neither words nor medicine but the power of solitude. Patients were placed in complete isolation, devoid of stimuli, until they reconnected with their pain, their condition, and ultimately with their strength. By accepting suffering in silence, many healed what no other treatment could reach. The mind needs space to reorganize. The heart needs time to recover. The soul needs silence to listen to itself. Solitude creates that sanctuary. And although healing doesn't happen quickly, it happens genuinely. Gradually we start to feel again. We start to understand again. And most importantly, we start to feel whole again. 6. Solitude increases self-sufficiency and resilience. In a world that teaches us to depend on others for everything, validation, companionship, direction, being alone may seem threatening. But it is actually a rare chance to prove to ourselves what we are made of. Solitude puts us face to face with our limits, but also with our internal resources. And that is where we discover our real strength. Ancient cultures understood this. Among the Tarahumara, 6-year-old children spent weeks alone in the fields caring for sheep. In rites of passage, youth were left alone in the forest to face their fears and survive with what nature offered. The message was clear: before being part of the group, learn to be whole on your own. This experience forges not only self-sufficiency but emotional resilience. By relying only on ourselves, we strengthen our courage, our clarity, and our ability to deal with the unpredictable. We don't become hard but more aware. We don't become isolated, but more prepared to be with others without losing ourselves among them. 7. Solitude expands perception and connection with the world. When we are alone, without other minds around us, the world around us changes. Colors seem more vivid, sounds clearer, previously unnoticed details stand out. The absence of company doesn't diminish the experience, it intensifies it. Everything that used to be background now takes center stage in our attention. Jean-Paul Sartre noted that even the silent presence of a stranger on a park bench alters our experience. We begin to see ourselves through the other's eyes and subtly lose connection with the moment. William James also observed that the mere arrival of another walker made his experience less free. Solitude restores that perceptual freedom. In solitude we are finally present. No need to share attention, interpret reactions, or control expressions. Nature, the city, time, everything reveals itself with depth. And in this immersion with the environment, we discover not only the world more clearly, but also ourselves more truthfully. 8. Solitude expands the capacity for inner attunement. Being alone isn't just about observing the world more attentively, it's also about hearing for the first time in a long time what comes from within. Thoughts once muffled begin to surface. Hidden emotions take shape. Desires, fears, and loose ideas arrange themselves like puzzle pieces finally starting to fit. Philip Koch calls this attunement with oneself, a free flow of uncensored feelings and thoughts. There's no need to filter, hide, or justify anything. We're simply receivers of what moves inside us without the need to perform. This state of internal presence is rare in everyday social life, but common in solitude. It's in this intimate flow that we find answers we used to search for externally. We discover the true reasons for our conflicts, the roots of our choices, and what truly drives us. The more we tune in to what we feel, the more coherent our life becomes. Solitude doesn't disconnect us from the world, it reconnects us with what is essential. 9. Solitude is a territory of personal transformation. Solitude has the power to dismantle before it reorganizes. It breaks down our certainties, questions our patterns, and challenges the paths we follow on autopilot. This process can be uncomfortable, but it's precisely that discomfort that makes room for something new to emerge. Major transformations almost always begin with a period of retreat. Away from social distractions, we begin to reassess our values, priorities, and truths. What once seemed essential may lose its meaning, and what we ignored suddenly reveals itself as central to our existence. That kind of clarity doesn't come amid noise. It demands time, silence, and courage to face the truth without filters. Transforming in solitude is more than changing opinions, it's shedding skin. Letting go of what no longer serves and making space for a more whole version of oneself. This inner reconstruction is what separates those who merely survive from those who evolve. When well lived, solitude not only reveals who we are, but gives us the tools to become who we can be. 10. Solitude separates the ordinary from the great. While many flee from silence, the great seek it. Not out of arrogance, but because they understand that's where true strength is born. Jesus went to the desert, Nietzsche to the mountains, Thoreau to the forest. They knew what most have forgotten. No one reaches greatness immersed in constant distraction. Solitude is the test few pass. Facing oneself takes more courage than facing an army. There's nowhere to run, no one to blame. It's in this vulnerability that true giants are forged. Those who master solitude don't become cold or distant, they become deep, clear, and unshakable. They return to the world with something no one can take: a whole self. Greatness isn't about talent or luck, it's about depth. And depth can only be found in silence. The ordinary live on the surface, in the noise, in the crowd's flow. The great dive deep. They go down to the roots of their soul, face the darkness, and return with light. And that light, almost always, was kindled in solitude. Solitude is not the end, it's the beginning of something grand, the whole you. The great figures of history understood this, and maybe now it's your turn. If this video touched you in any way, like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Because silence may be personal, but transformation can be collective.